My name is Violet Miller. I am 30 years old, and I live in a penthouse apartment in the city. My father slid the thick legal folder across my glass dining table. The sound was sharp in the quiet room. He looked me right in the eye. "Sign the deed over to your sister," he said. His voice was cold and hard. "Or we will take you to court." I felt a knot form in my stomach. I looked at my mother, hoping she would say something. She just stared at her lap. She would not even meet my eyes. Then I looked at my sister. She was sitting there with a smug look on her face. She looked around the room like she already owned it. They were sitting in my home. This was the penthouse I bought with my own money. I worked for 10 years to get this. I missed holidays. I worked double shifts. I saved every single penny while they went on vacations. Now they wanted to take it all away, just like that. My hands were shaking under the table, but I didn't let them see. I took a deep breath to steady my voice. I reached for my own briefcase and opened it slowly. "No," I said. "They think I am the villain in this story. They think I am selfish. But they are about to learn the truth. But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? My name is Violet Miller. I am 30 years old. To understand why I refused to sign that deed, you have to understand the 28 years that came before it. You have to understand that in my house, there were 2 daughters, but only one of us was treated like a child. The other was treated like an employee. I was the employee. I realized this for the first time on my 16th birthday. It is a day that sticks in my mind like a splinter. For months leading up to it, I had done everything right. I got straight A's in school. I did my chores without asking. I babysat the neighbors' kids and saved my money. I talked about getting my driver's license constantly. I left the driver's manual on the coffee table. I talked about the used cars I saw for sale in the newspaper. On the morning of my birthday, I woke up with that nervous, excited feeling in my stomach. I walked into the kitchen. My mother was drinking coffee. My father was reading the paper. "Happy birthday, Violet," my mom said. She pointed to a small wrapped box on the table. I opened it. It was a bus pass, a yearly pass for the city transit system. I stared at it. I tried to smile, but my face felt stiff. "Oh, thanks. It's practical," my dad said, not looking up from the sports section. "Insurance is expensive, Violet. Gas is expensive. This will get you to school and back. It teaches you independence." I thought, maybe I could use the old sedan, I asked quietly. "Since you guys have the SUV now." "We traded it in," my dad said. "Money doesn't grow on trees, Violet. You'll figure it out." I spent my 16th birthday riding the number 42 bus to the mall by myself to buy a cupcake. I sat in the back, smelling the exhaust fumes, watching the rain streak against the window. I told myself it was okay. I told myself my parents were just being responsible with money. We were a middle-class family. Maybe we were struggling. I needed to be a good daughter and not ask for too much. I believed that lie for exactly 2 years. 2 years later, my sister Lily turned 16. The morning of her birthday, the house smelled like pancakes. My mom was cooking a feast. Lily came downstairs in her pajamas, looking sleepy and happy. "Happy birthday, baby," my mom squealed. She hugged Lily so hard she lifted her off the ground. "Come outside," my dad said. He had a grin on his face I had never seen him direct at me. "We have a surprise." I followed them out to the driveway. I stood on the porch, holding my arms around myself against the morning chill. There, sitting in the driveway, was a white BMW. It wasn't brand new, but it was close. The paint shined. The leather seats looked soft. There was a giant red bow on the hood. Lily screamed. It was a high, piercing sound of pure delight. She ran to the car. She jumped up and down. "Is it mine? Is it really mine?" she shrieked. "It's all yours, princess," my dad said. He tossed her the keys. "We want you to be safe on the road, only the best for you." I stood there, frozen. I looked at the bus pass in my wallet, then I looked at the BMW. "Dad," I asked. My voice came out small and shaky. "I thought you said insurance was too expensive." He turned to me, his smile fading instantly. He looked annoyed that I was ruining the moment. "Violet, don't be jealous. It's ugly. Your sister needs a reliable car. She has cheerleading practice. She has a social life. It's different." It was different. I had a social life too, or I would have if I didn't spend 3 hours a day on a bus. From that day on, the divide was visible. It was parked in the driveway. I walked to the bus stop every morning in the rain, the snow, and the heat. I would stand there waiting for the bus, and I would see Lily drive past me. She would have the windows down, music blasting, her friends laughing in the passenger seat. She never stopped. She never offered me a ride. And my parents never told her to. It builds character, Violet, my mom would say when I came home shivering. Struggling a little makes you tough. They were right. It made me tough, it made me cold. When it came time for college, the dynamic repeated itself. But this time, the stakes were higher. I sat at the kitchen table with my acceptance letters. I had gotten into the state university. It was a good school. I had worked so hard for my grades. We need to talk about tuition, I said. My dad sighed. It was a long, heavy sigh that suggested I was asking for the moon. Honey, business has been slow this year. The market is down. We just don't have the liquidity to pay for college right now. I felt a pit in my stomach. But, you have a college fund. You talked about it when we were kids. We had to dip into it, my mom said vaguely. Expenses come up. The roof needed fixing, the car needed maintenance. The BMW needed maintenance. So what do? I asked. Loans, my dad said. Take out student loans, it's good debt. And you can work. You're a smart girl, Violet. You'll figure it out. So I did. I signed the papers for tens of thousands of dollars in debt. I moved into a dorm room that smelled like old socks. I got a job working the night shift at a 24-hour diner near campus. I went to class from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. I studied from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. I slept for 3 hours. Then I worked at the diner from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I was a zombie. I lost weight because I couldn't afford the campus meal plan. My dinner was usually a bag of chips from a vending machine or leftover fries from the diner that were going to be thrown out. I wore my shoes until there were holes in the soles. I didn't go to parties, I didn't join clubs, I didn't go on spring break. I worked, I studied, I survived. 2 years later, Lily graduated high school. Her grades were barely passing. She didn't want to go to the state university. She wanted to go to a private liberal arts college near the beach in Florida. It cost 3 times what my school cost. I waited for my parents to give her the business is slow speech. I waited for them to hand her the loan applications. Instead, my mom posted on Facebook, "So proud of our baby girl, heading to Florida in the fall. We are so happy to give her this opportunity." They paid for everything. Full tuition, a luxury apartment off campus because the dorms were too cramped. They paid for a sorority membership. They paid for meal plans she didn't use because she ate out at restaurants every night. I saw the pictures online. Lily holding a margarita on a boat in Cancun for spring break. Lily with a tan, wearing designer sunglasses. Lily living the life I was told we couldn't afford. I called my dad once, in tears. I was sitting in my laundromat, counting quarters to wash my work uniform. "Dad, how can you pay for her school and not mine?" I asked. "I'm working night shifts, I'm exhausted." "Don't count other people's money, Violet," he snapped. "It's rude. Your sister needs more support than you. You are naturally capable. She needs a little help to find her footing. You should be happy for her." That was the narrative. I was capable, so I deserved nothing. She was needy, so she deserved everything. But the neglect gave me one thing. It gave me Claire. It was my junior year. I had landed an internship at a logistics company. It was paid, which was the only reason I took it. I was filing papers late one Friday night. Everyone else had gone home. The door to the CEO's office opened. Claire walked out. She was a woman in her 50s, sharp features, always wore gray suits. She stopped when she saw me. "Miller," she said, "why are you still here? It's 8 p.m. on a Friday." "I wanted to finish organizing the shipping manifests for Monday," I said. "So we can start the week ahead." She looked at me. She really looked at me. She walked over and sat on the edge of my desk. "You're the one who works at the diner, right?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am, and you go to school full-time." "Yes, ma'am," she nodded slowly. "You're hungry." "I'm okay," I lied. My stomach growled loudly in the silence. Claire laughed. It was a dry, rasping sound. She reached into her purse and pulled out a $20 bill. "Go get food, real food, not chips." "I can't take your money," I said. "Take it," she ordered. "And listen to me." I took the money. "You work hard," Claire said. "That's rare. But hard work alone won't save you. People will take advantage of hard workers. They will milk you dry and then ask why you aren't producing milk anymore." She leaned in closer. Her eyes were steel gray. "You need to protect yourself, Violet. Document everything. In business and in life, track every dollar like it's evidence in a murder trial. Keep receipts, keep emails, keep dates. Because one day, someone is going to try to rewrite history. And when that day comes, You need to be able to slap a binder on the table and say, "No, this is what happened." I didn't know it then, but she wasn't just teaching me how to be a good employee. She was giving me the weapon I would use to kill my family's lies. From that day forward, I became obsessed. I bought a scanner. I scanned every paycheck. I scanned every tuition bill. I kept a spreadsheet of every dollar I spent. I saved every text message my parents sent me refusing to help. I wasn't doing it for revenge. Not yet. I was doing it because Claire told me to. I was doing it because it was the only control I had in a life where I felt powerless. I didn't know that 10 years later, those pieces of paper would be the only thing standing between me and losing everything. By the time I was 28, the capable daughter had become a powerhouse. I graduated with honors. I turned my internship with Claire into a full-time job, and then I turned that job into a career. I moved up the ladder fast. I was a senior consultant for supply chain management. I solved expensive problems for big companies, and they paid me very well for it. I lived like a monk for 5 years after college. I paid off my student loans aggressively. Every bonus, every raise, every spare dollar went to the debt. The day I made the final payment, I sat in my car and cried for 10 minutes. I was free. Then I started saving. I stayed in my small studio apartment. I drove a used Honda. I wore simple clothes. My bank account grew and grew. While I was building my fortune, Lily was burning through whatever safety net my parents provided. She graduated with a degree in art history but never used it. She moved back home with mom and dad. She worked odd jobs, receptionist, dog walker, yoga instructor, but quit them whenever she got bored or stressed. My parents bought her a new car when she crashed the BMW. They paid her credit card bills. I watched from a distance. I stopped asking for fairness. I just focused on my goal. I wanted a home, a real home, a place that no one could kick me out of, a place where I didn't have to sleep in a drafty room or listen to my parents tell me I was a burden. I found the Penthouse on a rainy Tuesday in November. My realtor, a nice woman named Sarah, took me to the top of a new high-rise downtown. We stepped out of the elevator and she unlocked the heavy oak door. I walked in and my breath hitched. It was magnificent. It was on the 23rd floor. The entire south wall was glass. The city lay spread out below me like a carpet of lights. There were 3 bedrooms, a massive kitchen with quartz countertops, hardwood floors that gleamed. It was quiet. That was the first thing I noticed. It was high above the noise of the traffic. It was high above the noise of my family. "It's a lot of space for one person," Sarah said, watching my face. "I'll grow into it," I whispered. The price was high. It was a stretch, but I had the money. I had the down payment sitting in my savings account, ready to go. "I'll take it," I said. The closing process took a month. Every time I had to sign a document, I felt a surge of pride. Buyer name, Violet Miller, just me. No cosigner, no husband, no daddy, just Violet. I put down $84,000 in cash. It was the biggest check I had ever written. I watched the bank teller process it. My hands were shaking, not from fear but from adrenaline. When I finally got the keys, I didn't move in right away. I went there alone that night. I brought a sleeping bag and a bottle of cheap champagne. I slept on the floor of the empty living room. I woke up to the sunrise flooding the apartment with golden light. I felt safe. For the first time in my life, I felt completely, utterly safe. I spent the next 2 months furnishing it. I didn't buy cheap IKEA furniture this time. I bought a velvet sofa. I bought a heavy teak dining table. I bought art for the walls. I turned the second bedroom into a guest room and the third bedroom into my home office. My home office was my command center. I bought a fireproof safe. I put the deed inside. I put the purchase agreement inside. I put every receipt for the furniture inside. Claire's voice was always in my head, track every dollar. Finally, I was ready. I invited my family over for a housewarming dinner. I wanted them to be proud. I know it sounds stupid after everything they did to me, but the child in me still wanted my dad to pat my back. I still wanted my mom to hug me and say, "Wow, Violet, you did good." I spent 2 days cooking. I made a roast chicken with herbs. I made a complicated salad with goat cheese and walnuts. I bought expensive wine. They arrived 20 minutes late. I buzzed them up. When the elevator doors opened, Lily walked out first. She was wearing muddy boots. She walked right onto my new hardwood floors without wiping them. "Whoa," she said. She didn't look at me. She looked at the view. "Crazy view." My mom and dad followed. My dad looked around the lobby, checking for cracks in the paint, looking for flaws. "Hello, everyone, welcome," I said, opening my arms. "Hi, honey," my mom said. She gave me a weak side hug. She pulled back and looked around, her face was blank. "It's very modern," she said. She used the word modern like it was a bad thing. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" I asked, fishing for a compliment. My dad walked to the window. "What's the square footage?" he asked. 2,000, I said proudly. "And the HOA fees?" he asked. "Must be a killer in a building with a doorman." "I can handle it, Dad," I said, he grunted. "Better hope the market doesn't crash. You're leveraged pretty high here, Violet, could be a mistake." That was his reaction, not congratulations. Just a warning that I might fail. Lily wandered into the kitchen. She opened my fridge. "Do you have any beer? I don't like wine." "No, sorry, I have water or juice," I said. She rolled her eyes. Fine." She flopped onto my velvet sofa. She put her feet up on the coffee table. Her boots were still muddy. "Lily, please take your feet down," I said gently. "That's a new table." "Chill out," she muttered. "It's just furniture, you act like it's a museum." We sat down for dinner. The conversation was painful. "So," my mom said, picking at the salad, "Lily is thinking about going back to school, maybe for interior design." "That's a great idea," I said. "You have a good eye." "Yeah," Lily said with her mouth full. "I was thinking this place needs some color. It's too beige. If I lived here, I'd paint that wall teal." "Well, it's a good thing you don't live here," I joked. Nobody laughed. My dad cleared his throat. "It really is a massive amount of space for a single girl, Violet. 3 bedrooms. What do you need 3 bedrooms for? Are you planning on taking in boarders?" "I have a guest room," I said, "and an office." "An office," my dad scoffed. "You work on a laptop. You can do that at the kitchen table." "I like having a dedicated space," I said, my voice getting tighter. "Must be nice to have money to burn," Lily muttered. "I'm sharing a bathroom with Mom and Dad again. It's a nightmare." "Well, Violet worked very hard for this," my mom said, but she didn't say it like a compliment. She said it like an excuse, like my hard work was the reason Lily was suffering. After dinner, Lily took out her phone. She walked around the apartment taking selfies. She took a picture in my soaking tub. She took a picture on my balcony. She posted them to Instagram. I got the notification on my phone a few minutes later. The photo was of her holding a glass of my wine, standing in front of my window. The caption read, "Penthouse vibes tonight. Finally a place that fits my style. Number city life, number views, number blessed." She didn't tag me, she didn't mention it was her sister's place. The comments started rolling in. "OMG Lily, did you move? So jealous. You deserve it, girl." Lily liked every comment. She didn't correct anyone. My mom commented on the post, one word, "Nice." I looked at my dad across the table. He was picking his teeth with a toothpick. "So," he said, "how much did this place actually cost?" "What's the bottom line?" I told him the number. He whistled. "That's a lot of debt, Violet, a lot of debt. I hope you know what you're doing." They left an hour later. They didn't help clean up. They didn't bring a housewarming gift. Not even a card. I locked the door behind them. The silence returned. But this time it didn't feel peaceful. It felt lonely. I walked into the kitchen and started scrubbing the dishes. I scrubbed until my hands were red. I was angry. I was so angry I was shaking. Why couldn't they just be happy for me? Why did everything have to be about what I had and what Lily didn't have? I finished cleaning. I poured myself another glass of wine. I walked into my office. I opened the safe. I took out the binder. I sat there for an hour, organizing the papers from the closing. I hole-punched the receipt for the dinner groceries. I printed out a screenshot of Lily's Instagram post. I printed out the text message my mom sent me when they got home. "Thanks for dinner. Lily is really depressed now seeing how you live. I hope you're happy." I put it all in the binder. I realized something that night. My family didn't love me, they tolerated me, and they resented my success because it highlighted their failure with Lily. I looked at the deed again, Violet Miller. "This is mine," I said out loud to the empty room. "This is mine. And I will never let you touch it." I closed the binder. The snap of the metal rings sounded like a gunshot. It happened 2 years after I bought the penthouse. I was 30 years old. I was established. I was a senior consultant. I had built a life that was quiet, organized, and mine. My phone rang on a Tuesday evening. It was my mother. "Violet," she said. Her voice was unusually high-pitched. "Your father and I want to come over for dinner on Saturday. Bring Lily, we have some news." News, I asked. I felt that familiar tightening in my chest. Is everything okay? It's good news, she said. Great news, actually. But we need to discuss it as a family, in your space. It's more private than a restaurant. Okay, I said. Saturday at 7. Perfect, she said. Make something nice, will you? I spent the entire day Saturday preparing. Even at 30, even after everything, I still wanted to impress them. I wanted to be the good daughter. I went to the butcher and bought an expensive cut of roast beef. I bought fresh rosemary. I made mashed potatoes from scratch with heavy cream and butter, just the way my dad liked them. I polished the wine glasses. I set the table with the cloth napkins. I looked around my apartment before they arrived. It was spotless. The city lights were twinkling through the floor-to-ceiling windows. It looked like a magazine cover. I felt a surge of pride. Surely, tonight, they would see me. They would see what I had built and treat me with respect. They arrived right on time, which was the first warning sign. Usually they were late. When I opened the door, Lily walked in first. She was glowing. She was wearing a tight-knit dress that showed a small, undeniable bump in her stomach. I'm pregnant, she squealed before I could even say hello. My jaw dropped. Lily, oh my gosh. I hugged her, I really meant it. Despite everything, I loved my sister. I wanted her to be happy. A baby was a blessing. Who is the father? I asked, pulling back. Lily's face fell for a split second, then recovered. It's complicated. He's not around, but it doesn't matter. I have mom and dad, and I have you. My parents walked in behind her. They were beaming. My dad was carrying a bottle of sparkling cider. We are going to be grandparents, my dad announced. He clapped his hands together. He looked at me, and for the first time in years, he smiled at me with genuine warmth. Can you believe it, Violet? A baby in the family. It's wonderful, I said. I took their coats. Come in, dinner is almost ready. The first hour was perfect. We sat in the living room. We drank the cider. We talked about baby names. We talked about cribs and strollers. My mom was knitting a yellow blanket. The tension that usually existed between us seemed to have evaporated. I felt included. I felt like part of the family finally. I served dinner. The roast beef was perfect. The potatoes were creamy. This is delicious, Violet, my dad said, taking a huge bite. You really learned how to cook. Thanks, Dad, I said. I felt my face flush with pleasure. You know, my mom said, putting her fork down. She looked around the room. This apartment really is stunning. The view, the space. It's very safe here, very secure building. It is, I agreed. That's why I bought it. My mom looked at my dad. A silent signal passed between them. The air in the room changed instantly. The warmth evaporated. The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. My dad cleared his throat. He took a sip of water. Violet, he said. His voice was serious now, businesslike. We need to talk about the future with the baby coming. Things are going to change. Of course, I said. Is Lily moving back into her old room at your house? Lily let out a dramatic sigh. She looked down at her plate. My old room is so small, Violet, and the house. It's old, it's drafty. The stairs are steep. Mom and Dad are getting older. It's not a good environment for a newborn. And Lily is doing this alone, my mom added, her eyes bored into mine. She needs stability. She needs a sanctuary. I nodded slowly. So she's getting her own apartment. She can't afford that, my dad said bluntly. She's not working right now. She needs to focus on her health. Okay, I said. I was confused. So what is the plan? My dad leaned forward. He placed his hands flat on my dining table. We think it's best, he said, if you let Lily have the penthouse. I stopped chewing. I stared at him. I couldn't process the words. I'm sorry, let her have it. You mean stay in the guest room for a few weeks after the baby is born? No, Lily said. She looked up, her eyes wide and wet with tears. We mean you move out, and I move in. I laughed. It was a nervous, involuntary sound. You want me to move out of my own home? It makes the most sense, my mom said rapidly. You are single, Violet. You are one person. You have 3 bedrooms here. It's excessive. It's selfish, really, to hoard all this space when your sister is bringing a life into the world. Selfish, I repeated. Lily needs the security, my dad said. This building has a doorman. It has an elevator. It's perfect for a young mother. And where am I supposed to go? I asked. My voice was trembling. You have money, my dad said dismissively. You have a great job. You can rent a nice studio somewhere, or buy a smaller condo. Something that fits your lifestyle better. My lifestyle is living in the home I paid for, I said. My dad reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a thick legal folder. He slid it across the table, right next to the roast beef. "We've had a lawyer draw up some papers," he said. "It's a quitclaim deed. You sign the title over to Lily, we will put the property in her name." I stared at the folder. "You want me to give her $1 million apartment? Just give it to her." "We're not unreasonable," my dad said. "We know you have a mortgage. We expect you to keep paying that. Think of it as your contribution to your nephew, a gift." The room spun. They didn't just want the house. They wanted me to pay for it. They wanted me to leave, live somewhere else, and continue paying the mortgage on a penthouse for Lily to live in. "You want me to move out," I said slowly, trying to understand the insanity of it. "Give Lily the deed, and keep paying the mortgage." "Family helps family," my mom said. She reached out and touched my hand. Her skin felt cold. "Violet, don't be difficult. This is for the baby." I pulled my hand away. I looked at Lily. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking around the living room, mentally arranging her furniture. She had a small, smug smile on her lips. She had won. She always won. I thought about the bus pass. I thought about the vending machine dinners. I thought about the night shifts. I thought about the $84,000 down payment I scraped together. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was a quiet, final click. Like a lock turning, I stood up. "No," I said. The room went silent. "Excuse me," my dad said. His face began to turn red. "No," I said again. I kept my voice steady, though my knees were shaking under the table. "I will not sign the deed, I will not move out, and I will not pay for Lily to live here." "Violet," my mom gasped. "How can you be so cruel to your pregnant sister?" "It's not cruel to keep what is mine," I said. "I worked for this, I earned this. Lily has never worked for anything in her life because you hand her everything on a silver platter. I won't do it." Lily started to cry. It was a loud, wailing cry. I knew it. I knew she would be like this. "She's jealous. She's always been jealous of me." "That is enough," my dad roared. He slammed his hand on the table. The wine glasses shook. "You ungrateful little brat. After everything we did for you, we raised you. We fed you. You did the bare minimum," I yelled back. "You gave me a bus pass while you gave her a BMW. You told me to figure it out while you paid for her vacations." "Well, I figured it out, Dad. I figured it out and I bought this house. And you can't have it." My dad stood up. He loomed over me. His eyes were full of hate. "If you don't sign this paper," he hissed, pointing a finger in my face, "we will take you to court. We will sue you for everything you have. We will ruin you." "Get out," I said. I pointed to the door. "Get out of my house." "You'll regret this," my mom spat. She stood up and grabbed her purse. "You are cold, Violet, ice cold. I don't know how I raised a daughter like you." They gathered their coats. Lily was still sobbing, clinging to my mom. My dad grabbed the legal folder off the table. "You have until Monday to change your mind," he warned. "Or the gloves come off." They slammed the door so hard the walls shook. I stood alone in the silence. The smell of the roast beef was suddenly nauseating. I sank into my chair and buried my face in my hands. I didn't cry. I was too terrified to cry. They were going to sue me. My own parents were going to sue me. The next 3 days were a torture of silence. I didn't leave the penthouse. I called in sick to work. I sat by the window, watching the cars down below, waiting for the other shoe to drop. On Wednesday, it dropped. The buzzer rang. It was a courier. I signed for a thick envelope. The return address was Miller and Associates, my dad's friend's law firm. I sat on the floor and opened it. My hands were shaking so bad I ripped the paper. It was a formal legal complaint. Plaintiff, Lily Miller and Robert Miller. Defendant, Violet Miller. I read through the pages and my blood ran cold. It was a work of fiction, a complete fabrication. The lawsuit claimed that there was an oral family trust agreement. It stated that the money I used for the down payment, my hard-earned savings, was actually family funds entrusted to me. It claimed that the penthouse was intended to be a family investment property, to be shared by all siblings. It said that by refusing to allow my sister to live there, I was in breach of fiduciary duty. They were asking the court to force me to transfer the title to a family trust, pay Lily back rent for the time she should have been living there, pay for their legal fees. It was insane, but it looked official. It had stamps and signatures. It looked real. I felt a wave of panic. Could they do this? Could they just lie and take my home? But the legal attack was only the beginning. They knew that court cases take time. They wanted to break me faster. They wanted to destroy my reputation. I logged onto Facebook. I wished I hadn't. Lily's ex-husband, the guy who wasn't even around to raise the baby, had posted a long status update. It's sad to see how money changes people. Imagine turning your own pregnant sister out onto the street, just so you can live in a luxury penthouse alone. Some people forget where they came from, disgusting behavior from someone who thinks she's better than everyone else. He didn't tag me, but he didn't have to. We were from a small town. Everyone knew who he was talking about. The comments were piling up. My Aunt Carol wrote, "Praying for you, Lily. God sees everything. Greed is a sin." My cousin Mike wrote, "Wow, that's low. Family comes first." A girl I went to high school with wrote, "I always knew she was stuck up. I felt like I was being stoned in the town square. My own family was painting me as a monster. They were using Lily's pregnancy as a weapon to make me look like a villain." My phone beeped. A voicemail. I hesitated. I knew I shouldn't listen to it, but I had to know. I pressed play. It was my mother. "Violet," she said. Her voice was trembling, sounding weak and frail. "It's Mom. I don't know who you are anymore. Your father is sick with stress. His blood pressure is through the roof. Lily has been crying for 3 days. She's terrified for the baby. If anything happens to that baby because of this stress, it will be on your hands." She paused. Then her voice dropped, becoming hard and cold. "I never thought I raised someone so heartless. You have so much, and you won't share even a little. If you have a shred of decency left, you will fix this. Sign the papers, Violet. Don't make us destroy you, because we will. We will tell everyone what you are." The message ended. "Destroy you?" I sat there, the phone slipping from my hand. I felt small. I felt like the 16-year-old girl with the bus pass. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was being selfish. It was just a house. It was just bricks and glass. Was it worth losing my family over? Was it worth hurting my dad's health? I almost picked up the phone to call them. I almost surrendered. But then, my eyes landed on the bookshelf in the corner. On the bottom shelf, tucked away, was a thick black binder. "Track every dollar like it is evidence." Claire's voice echoed in my head. I stood up. My legs felt heavy. I walked over to the shelf and pulled out the binder. I carried it to the dining table, the same table where my father had threatened me. I opened it. The first page was the purchase agreement. Buyer, Violet Miller. The next page was a copy of the check for the down payment. Drawn from Violet Miller savings. I flipped through the pages. Mortgage payments, HOA fees, property tax, insurance. Every single document had my name on it. There was no family trust. There was no oral agreement. There was no parents' contribution. I looked at the spreadsheet I had kept for years. Date, Aug 12, 2018. Request for tuition help. Answer, no. Date, Sept 4, 2020. Request for car repair help. Answer, you'll figure it out. They had never helped me, not once. And now they claim they own my success. I turned to the back section of the binder. This was the section I had compiled over the last few years. The intelligence section. I had found documents my dad left out during visits. I had seen mail at their house. I looked at a credit report for Lily I had found 2 years ago. Credit card debt, $68,000. Status, delinquent. I looked at a property record for my parents' house. Second mortgage taken out, $125,000. Interest rate, variable. I sat back. The pieces clicked together. This wasn't about the baby. This wasn't about Lily needing a safe home. My penthouse had appreciated in value. The equity in it was now worth almost $400,000. If I signed the deed over to Lily, she would own the asset. My parents could help her refinance. They could pull that $400,000 out in cash. They could pay off Lily's credit cards. They could pay off their second mortgage. They could save themselves from financial ruin. And me, I would be left with nothing. I would be paying a mortgage on a house I didn't own while they spent my equity. I wasn't a daughter to them. I was a piggy bank. I was a bailout package. The guilt vanished. The sadness evaporated. In their place, a cold, hard rage settled in my chest. It was a clean feeling. It was the feeling of clarity. They didn't love me. They wanted to harvest me. "Okay," I whispered to the empty room. "You want to play games. You want to talk about evidence." I closed the binder. I picked up my phone. I didn't call my mother. I didn't call my father. I searched for a name Claire had given me years ago. A litigation attorney known for destroying bullies. Diane Cho. I dialed the number. Diane Cho's office. A receptionist answered. "Hello," I said. My voice was steady. "My name is Violet Miller. My family is trying to steal my home. I have a binder full of evidence, and I want to hire you to crush them." The meeting with Diane Cho was unlike any meeting I had ever had. Her office was in a steel-end glass tower on the other side of the city. It smelled like expensive leather and intimidation. Diane was a small woman, but she took up the whole room. She wore a sharp red blazer and glasses with thick black frames. She didn't offer me tea, she didn't offer me sympathy. She pointed to the chair opposite her desk. "Show me what you have," she said. I placed my black binder on her desk. For 20 minutes, the only sound in the room was the flipping of pages. Diane read fast. Her eyes scanned the purchase agreements, the bank statements, the notarized affidavits of my sole ownership. She paused at the spreadsheet where I had tracked my parents' refusal to help me over the years. She stopped at the section about their debts. Finally, she closed the binder. She took off her glasses and looked at me. A small, terrifying smile played on her lips. "They are idiots," she said. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. "So, they don't have a case." "Violet," Diane said, leaning forward. "They don't have a case. They have a fairy tale, an oral family trust. In real estate, the statute of frauds requires real estate transfers to be in writing. Unless they have a signed document saying this was a trust, they are blowing smoke." She tapped the binder. "But this is beautiful. You have documented everything. Most people don't do this. Most people trust their families. That is their mistake." "I learned the hard way not to trust them," I said. "Good," Diane said. "Because we are going to use that." She stood up and walked to a whiteboard. She picked up a marker. "Here is what is happening," she said, drawing a circle. "Your parents are broke. Your sister is broke. You are the only one with assets. They are desperate." "The baby," I started. "The baby is a prop," Diane cut me off. "An emotional lever to pry open your wallet. If they really cared about the baby, they wouldn't be trying to financially ruin the only person in the family capable of actually helping the child." She drew a line from the circle to a word she wrote in all caps. "Greed. They filed this lawsuit to scare you," she explained. "They think you are the weak little girl who wants mommy and daddy's approval. They think you will crumble under the pressure and sign the deed just to make the fighting stop." She looked at me. "Will you?" I thought about the voicemail. I never thought I raised someone so heartless. I thought about the BMW in the driveway. I thought about the vending machine dinners. "No," I said. "I want to fight." "Good," Diane said. "Then we don't just defend, we attack." She sat back down. "Here is the strategy. Step 1, we file a motion for declaratory judgment. We ask the court to immediately rule that you are the sole owner based on the deed. Simple. Step 2, she continued. We file a counterclaim, abuse of process. They filed a frivolous lawsuit to harass you. We sue them for your legal fees. We sue them for emotional distress. We sue them for defamation regarding the social media posts." My eyes widened. "Sue them back. If you want them to stop, you have to make it too expensive for them to continue," Diane said. "Bullies only respect pain." "And step 3, she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "We audit them. In the discovery phase, we demand to see their finances. We force them to reveal the second mortgage. We force them to reveal Lily's debts. We put their shame on the public record." I felt a cold shiver go down my spine. It was brutal, it was aggressive. "Do it," I said. Diane nodded. "I will draft the papers tonight. But Violet, you need to be ready. When we file this, they are going to scream. They are going to come at you harder. You cannot engage. You cannot talk to them. No texts, no calls, no family dinners." "Silence is your shield," she said. "Let me be your sword." I went home that night feeling lighter than I had in a week. I blocked my parents' numbers. I blocked Lily. I blocked my aunt and my cousin. I went to my window and looked out at the city. My home. They wanted a war. They were going to get one. 2 days later, Diane filed the motion. The reaction was immediate. Since I had blocked their phones, they showed up. I was in my kitchen making coffee on Saturday morning when the buzzer rang. I ignored it. It rang again and again. Then my phone buzzed with a notification from the front desk. "Concierge, Miss Miller, your parents are in the lobby. They are demanding to see you." "They are," causing a scene. I pressed the intercom button. "Tell them to leave, please. If they don't, call the police." "Understood, Miss Miller." I watched from my balcony. 5 minutes later, I saw my parents walking out of the building. My dad was gesturing wildly, yelling at the doorman. My mom looked small and defeated. They got into their old car, not the BMW that was long gone, and drove away. I didn't feel guilty. I felt safe. The boundaries were finally going up. But the real victory came 2 weeks later. The discovery phase began. Diane made good on her promise. She sent a demand for their financial records. We found out the truth. The deep, ugly truth. My parents weren't just in debt. They were drowning. The second mortgage on their house was $125,000, yes, but they also had $40,000 in credit card debt. They had taken out a loan against my dad's life insurance policy. They were 3 months behind on their property taxes. And Lily was a financial black hole. She owed money to 3 different banks. She had a repossessed vehicle on her record from last year that they had hidden from me. Diane laid the papers out on her desk. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a bank statement from my parents. "Look at the dates." I looked. Oct 4, $500 withdrawal casino. Oct 12, $800 withdrawal casino. Oct 20, $1,200 withdrawal casino. My dad, he had a gambling problem. I stared at the numbers. The slow business. The no money for college. It wasn't just favoritism, it was addiction. He had gambled away my college fund. He was gambling away their retirement. And now, he was trying to steal my house to feed the machine. "Oh my God," I whispered. "This is the smoking gun," Diane said. "They are claiming they gave you family funds for the apartment. These records show they didn't have any funds to give. They were insolvent." She closed the file. "We have them, Violet. We have them by the throat. We are going to schedule a settlement conference, and we are going to end this. We had the evidence of the gambling. We had the evidence of the lies. But Diane warned me that having the truth isn't enough. You have to use it correctly. You have to set a trap. We don't just walk into court and scream that your dad is a gambler," Diane said. She was pacing around her office, looking like a general planning an invasion. "We need to corner them. We need to make them realize that if they push this to a trial, they will be publicly destroyed." The strategy was precise. First, the declaratory judgment. This was the legal shield. It was a formal request for the judge to look at the deed, my clean, undisputed deed, and declare me the sole owner. It cut through all their stories about oral agreements. Second, the cease and desist. This was to stop the harassment. Diane sent a letter to my parents, my sister, and even Lily's ex-husband. It stated that any further false statements on social media would result in a defamation lawsuit. It worked. The Facebook posts stopped that same afternoon. Third, the threat of counterclaim. This was the sword. We drafted a document outlining abuse of process. We calculated my legal fees. We calculated the emotional distress. We put a dollar figure on it, $50,000. If they lost, they wouldn't just walk away. They would owe me money they didn't have. "Now," Diane said, stopping in front of me, "the hardest part for you is going to be the silence." "I can be silent," I said. "I mean total silence," she insisted. "They are going to try to contact you. They will cry, they will scream, they will show up at your work. You cannot engage. Every time you answer the phone, you give them hope that they can manipulate you. Silence is the only thing that scares a narcissist." I went home and followed her instructions. I sat in my penthouse. The silence was heavy. I felt isolated. I felt like a bad daughter. The guilt came in waves. Maybe I'm being too hard on them. Maybe Dad really is sick. But then I would look at the binder. I would look at the page showing the $1,200 withdrawal at the casino on the same day I had asked for help with my textbooks in college. The guilt would turn back into steel. One night, feeling particularly vulnerable, I did something Diane suggested as insurance. I set up my camera on a tripod in my living room. I sat on my sofa. I hit record. "My name is Violet Miller," I said to the lens. "Today is October 14th. I am recording this statement to document the harassment I am receiving from my family regarding my property." I spoke for 20 minutes. I told the whole story. I told about the BMW. I told about the threats. I kept my voice calm. I didn't cry. I just stated the facts. "I am afraid of my family," I said at the end. "I am afraid they will lie to take what I have built, but I am not going to let them." I saved the video to a thumb drive and put it in the safe with the binder. It felt like I was locking away my fear. For 2 weeks, the silence from my end was absolute. My parents tried everything. They sent flowers. I donated them. They sent cards with photos of me as a baby. I put them in the binder. My dad showed up at my office lobby. Security turned him away. The silence was working. They were getting desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. Their lawyer called Diane. He sounded tired. "Can we talk?" he asked. "We can meet," Diane said. "But tell your clients to bring a pen, because the only way this ends is with a signature." We set the date for the settlement conference, November 2nd, the day it would all end. The conference room was cold. It was on the 40th floor of Diane's building. The walls were glass. Behind us, the city skyline looked gray and imposing. I sat on one side of the long mahogany table. Diane sat next to me. The black binder was in front of me. My family walked in. My dad looked 10 years older. His skin was gray. He walked with a shuffle. My mom looked terrified. She was clutching her purse like a shield. Lily walked in last. She looked angry. She glared at me as she sat down. She didn't look like a victim today. She looked like a spoiled child who had been told no for the first time. Their lawyer, a man named Mr. Henderson, looked exhausted. He opened his briefcase. "Let's keep this civil," Mr. Henderson said. "My clients just want a fair resolution. They want to ensure the safety of the grandchild." "There is no resolution involving my client's property," Diane said. Her voice was sharp, like a whip crack. "The property belongs to Violet Miller, period." "We have witnesses," my dad blustered. "People who heard us talk about the family trust." "You have drinking buddies, Bob," Diane said. She didn't call him Mr. Miller. She called him Bob. It was a power move. "And we have bank records." Diane stood up. She picked up the binder. "Mr. Henderson," she said, "before you pursue this lawsuit any further, I think you should see what we found in discovery." She slid a packet of papers across the table. Mr. Henderson picked them up. He started reading. I watched his face. At first he looked bored, then his eyebrows went up, then he went pale. He stopped reading and looked at my dad. "Bob," he asked, "is this accurate?" My dad wouldn't look at him. He was staring at the table. "What is it?" Lily asked. "What does it say?" "It says," Diane answered for him, "that your parents are insolvent. It says your father has gambled away over $200,000 in the last 5 years. It says there is a second mortgage on their house that is currently 60 days overdue." Lily froze. She turned to my dad. "Dad, you said you had money saved for the baby." "I do," my dad yelled. "I have a system. It's coming back. It says," Diane continued, relentless, "that you, Lily, have $68,000 in credit card debt and a repossessed vehicle on your record." The room went silent. The air was sucked out of the space. "The reason you want Violet's penthouse," Diane said, leaning over the table, "is not because you care about the baby. It is because you are drowning. You want to take her equity, the equity she earned, and use it to bail yourselves out. You want to refinance her home to pay for your mistakes." "That's a lie," my mom screamed. She stood up. "We love her. We are a family." "If you were a family," I said quietly. Everyone turned to look at me. It was the first time I had spoken. "If you were a family," I said, looking at my mother, "you wouldn't be trying to steal my home. You wouldn't be lying about me on the internet. You wouldn't be trying to destroy my life to save yours." I opened my binder. I pulled out one single piece of paper, the settlement agreement Diane had drafted. "I am not signing the deed over to Lily," I said. "I am never signing it." I slid the settlement paper across the table. "This is an agreement," I said. "It says that you withdraw your lawsuit with prejudice, meaning you can never file it again. It says you acknowledge I am the sole owner. It says you will cease all harassment. And it says that if you ever talk about this publicly again, I will sue you for the legal fees and I will release your financial records to the public." "I'm not signing that," my dad spat. "Then we go to trial," Diane said cheerfully. "And I will put you on the stand, Bob, and I will ask you under oath about every single trip to the casino. I will ask you about the college fund. I will ask you about the loans. And it will all be public record. Your friends will know. Your neighbors will know." My dad looked at Diane. Then he looked at Mr. Henderson. Mr. Henderson closed his file. "Bob," he whispered, "we can't win this if these records are real. We are done." My dad slumped in his chair. He looked small. He looked defeated. "Fine," he whispered. "Dad," Lily cried. "What about me? What about the apartment?" "Shut up, Lily," my dad said. He didn't even look at her. "Just shut up." He took the pen Diane offered. His hand was trembling. He signed the paper. My mother signed next. She was crying now, soft, self-pitying sobs. She wouldn't look at me. Lily signed last. She scribbled her name aggressively, tearing the paper slightly. She threw the pen down. "I hope you're happy," she hissed at me. "You have your big empty house and you have no one." "I have myself," I said. Diane took the paper. She checked the signatures. She nodded to me. "We are done here," she said. We stood up. We walked out of the glass room. I didn't look back. I didn't say goodbye. I walked to the elevator. I pressed the button. When the doors closed, leaving my family on the other side, I let out a breath that I felt like I had been holding for 14 years. The first month after the settlement was strange. It was like waking up from a long illness. I expected to feel sad, I expected to miss them, but mostly I just felt relief. The phone didn't ring with demands. The guilt didn't gnaw at me when I sat on my sofa. My home felt different. It didn't feel like a fortress anymore. It felt like a home. 6 months passed. I heard through the grapevine, my cousin Mike, who had apologized for his Facebook comment, what happened to them. My parents had to sell a small rental property they owned in the next town over. It was their last asset. They used the money to catch up on their mortgage and pay off some of the gambling debt. They were living on a tight budget now. My dad was forced to go back to work part-time at a hardware store. Lily didn't move into a penthouse. She moved 2 states away with her husband. Apparently, the ex wasn't really an ex. They had just staged a breakup to make her look more sympathetic for the lawsuit. They moved to a cheap town in the Midwest where he got a job in a warehouse. I saw a picture of the baby on Facebook. A cute little boy. I felt a twinge of sadness that I wouldn't know him. But then I remembered the price of admission to his life was my own destruction. It was a price I wasn't willing to pay. As for me, I refinanced the penthouse. Since I had undisputed title now, I got a much better interest rate. My monthly payments went down. I took the extra money I was saving and I did something I had wanted to do for a long time. I called the university. My old university. The one where I ate vending machine dinners. I set up a scholarship. It wasn't huge, but it was enough. It was specifically for students who were working full-time while attending classes. I named it the Claire Vance Scholarship, after the boss who told me to document everything. When I signed the paperwork for the scholarship, I felt more pride than I ever felt waiting for my parents' approval. A few weeks later, my birthday rolled around. I went to my mailbox. There was a card. It was from my mother. I debated throwing it out, but curiosity won. I opened it. There was no money inside, no gift card. Just a generic happy birthday message printed on the card. Underneath, in her handwriting, she wrote, "We miss you. Hope you are well." There was no apology, no acknowledgement of the lawsuit. No sorry we tried to steal your house. Just a pretend normalcy. They were trying to rug sweep. They wanted to pretend it never happened so they could eventually ask for money again. Then I checked my email. There was a message from Lily. Subject, sorry. Violet, I'm writing this because Mom said I should. I guess I'm sorry things got so crazy. It's just hard seeing you have so much when we struggle. Anyway, the baby is cute. We are struggling with rent this month. If you want to see photos, let me know. I stared at the screen. I'm sorry things got crazy. Not I'm sorry I felt entitled to your home. And then, immediately, a mention of struggling with rent. The hook was already baited. I hit reply. I typed, I accept your apology for the past. I hope your new city treats you well. I will not be providing financial assistance now or in the future. Please do not ask again. I hit send. Then I blocked the email address. It wasn't about burning bridges. The bridge was already burnt. It was about building a wall to keep the ashes out. I went into my office. I opened the safe. I took out the binder. It was thick now. It held the story of my survival. I realized I didn't need it anymore. The lawsuit was over. The threat was gone. But I put it back in the safe. I would keep it, not out of fear but as a reminder. A reminder of what I was capable of. A reminder that I saved myself. That night I hosted a dinner party. It wasn't for family, it was for my chosen family. Diane came. Sarah, my realtor, came. 2 of my friends from college who had brought me soup when I was sick and broke came. I cooked the roast beef again. This time nobody criticized the seasoning. Nobody asked about the cost of the wine. Nobody looked at my furniture with envy. We laughed, we drank, we told stories. I looked around the table. These were the people who celebrated me. These were the people who wanted nothing from me but my company. I stood up to make a toast. To boundaries, I said, raising my glass. To boundaries, they echoed. My penthouse felt bright. The city lights sparkled like diamonds, but they were no longer cold. They were beautiful. I know there are people out there who think I was wrong, who think family is everything, who think I should have sacrificed my security for my sister. But here is what I learned. You cannot set yourself on fire to keep others warm, especially if those people are the ones holding the matches. Protecting what you built is not selfish. It is self-respect. I kept the receipts. I kept the documents. And because of that, I kept my life. I know many of you watching this might be in a similar spot. Maybe you have a family member who demands too much. Maybe you are the capable one who is always expected to pay the bill. It is scary to say no. It is terrifying to stand alone in a conference room and fight the people who raised you. But listen to me, you are worth protecting. Your hard work matters, your peace matters. Have you ever had to set a hard boundary with your family? Did they call you selfish? Did they try to make you feel guilty? What happened? Tell me your story in the comments. I read every single one. And if you know exactly how this feels, if you have ever had to be your own hero, hit that subscribe button. We are in this together, and we are stronger than they think.